Jake here. It's a beautiful Sunday and I'm procrastinating from yard work, so let's talk about one of the key skills of a successful freelancer, pricing and estimating. This week's question comes from socialite Susie, who's been asked to bid on a project to start up a fan page on Facebook and to start twittering on behalf of a potential client. As it happens, the client already blogs twice a week. She doesn't have the time to do those other pieces, and Susie wanted to know how I would price this. Well, let me first say that social media is still in its way early stages. I'm reminded a bit of the way it felt pricing websites back in the last century, back in the 1990s. The numbers were all over the board and there were a lot of people overcharging, and it was really hard to figure out what the return on investment was, if there was any return at all, given how crappy those early sites were. Social media is a bit different, since you don't have to be a rocket scientist to create a fully functional fan page or to open a LinkedIn or Twitter account. But as far as it concerns the writer, content is content, right? Well, not exactly. Let's be honest, Twitter posts take almost no brain power whatsoever, and they have a shelf life measured in milliseconds. Facebook fan page posts are arguably a bit more thoughtful, and they at least stay alive on the page, so you're probably not going to be able to command a premium price, or at least not for very long. So to estimate this project, here's what I recommended. First, she needs to practice creating and populating a Facebook fan page to see how long it takes, since she hadn't done that before. And you can do that by going to any fan page. You go to the bottom of the left-hand column, click create a page at the bottom of that column, and you're off to the races. She'll also need to help her client with the code to get that fan page widget onto the blog that the client already has. But that's no big deal either. That's something that a widget can do. And all of this time you add up and you put it into a not to exceed estimate. Next, she needs to figure out how much time she thinks that she'll need to research and write the regular updates, including client communications. Don't forget that part. Is she posting 3, 4, 5 days a week? How many posts per day? How much research is it going to take versus if she's writing it off the top of her head and doesn't take much effort? So put that into the equation. Finally, even though it wasn't part of the request, I thought that she should set the client up with a Hootsuite or similar program so that it automatically uploads the client's regular blog RSS feeds straight up to any place she wants. And that's got kind of a nice gee whiz factor to it. A moment ago, I talked about this being a not to exceed estimate, and the reason for it is this. Clients are wary of endless charges when they're not sure what they're getting into, and I think social media still qualifies in that category. So my preference would be to say, okay, it's going to be no more than X bucks to get you set up, and then no more than Y bucks for Z number of weekly posts for the first month. And then at the end of that first month, I'll give you an accounting of where we stand, and we can adjust from there going forward. And eventually maybe a retainer makes sense. Maybe it's a couple $100 a month or $100 a month if you're not doing very much, but get it so that you don't have to revisit this topic on a constant basis. So Susie, that's the strategy that I would take on this, and it is still a bit of the Wild West in social media, but I do think it represents a good market for enterprising writers. You just got to get on the stagecoach early. All right, that's it for now. Please keep those questions coming. Just go over to that box right over there, and I'll look forward to hearing from you. Have a great week. We'll see you next time.